In real time, have you been wondering what happened to Lil Jeff's killer following his tragic death? There is news. It appears Lil Jeff's killer might be saying goodbye to the streets forever following the court sentence. In this video, I will break down the events leading up to Lil Jeff's death. But first, let's start with the court's verdict. In a not-so-shocking turn of events, following the death of Chicago drill rapper Jeffrey L. Harris, known on the streets as Bloodhound Lil Jeff, one suspect was arrested. Court documents show that Trap City Rob, born Robert Coleman, was arrested in connection with the homicide. Authorities believe there was probable cause for the arrest of Trap City Rob because a witness identified and placed him at the crime scene where the shooting that killed Lil Jeff took place. However, Trap City Rob did not give in to the arrest easily. It was a struggle between the rapper and the Chicago police officers. According to the documents, surveillance officers spotted Trap City Rob entering and leaving his apartment on S. Rhodes Avenue while carrying a black firearm. It is important to mention that the surveillance officers knew Trap City Rob was a convicted felon and a gun offender who was not supposed to own a firearm at any time. As soon as the officer spotted Rob, he approached him on foot. But first, he called out to the suspect, letting him know that his body cam was activated and he was under arrest. I believe the officer did that to ensure a smooth and easy arrest, but the reverse was the case. According to the report, when the police officer tried to take Trap City Rob into custody, Rob pulled away and refused to follow verbal instructions. He used dead weight to stiffen his body, making it difficult for the officer to handcuff him. The court report states that Trap City Rob left the officer no choice but to use control techniques, escort holds, and an emergency takedown to get the arrestee in custody. During the struggle between Rob and the officer, a black-loaded firearm fell off Rob's thighs. At this point, Trap City Rob continued to resist arrest until another surveillance officer joined in and forced the cuffs onto Rob's wrists. It was reported that because of Trap City Rob's body size and resistance, 2 handcuffs were used on him, which resulted in injuries to his right wrist. However, Trap City Rob's actions were not without consequences. According to the document, after being placed into the squad car, Coleman was transported directly to the 2nd District lockup due to his actions and behavior at the scene. In a shocking turn of events, an investigation into Trap City Rob's involvement in the homicide failed to prove that Rob was the actual shooter. As a result, the murder charge against him was dropped. But because he was caught with a gun as a convicted felon, the gun charge remained, and he will probably serve some time in jail. However, following Trap City Rob's arrest, a series of reactions and rising controversies erupted on Reddit. One user commented, "I ain't well versed on Illinois self-defense laws. It is insane to me that anybody would be charged with murder in this situation. Was it because they kept shooting him?" Another user responded, "Ain't no self-defense for overkill. Probably a couple of shots or so, but not 19. While the argument centered around whether or not Lil Jeff's killer acted in self-defense, another Reddit user was concerned about dropping Rob's gun charge. The comment says, "Free his ass for that armed habitual. He proved that day why he made it a habit." To be honest, most fans shared the same perspective, which explains why Trap City Rob was praised for standing on business after the incident. It's almost like the entire case was solved on Reddit before CPD even started their investigation. In fact, it was the Reddit community that first identified Trap City Rob as the shooter. As soon as the news of Lil Jeff's death hit the streets, the city of Chicago was startled by a series of trolling posts on the Reddit community, with most of the disses directed at the hood allegedly responsible for sending Lil Jeff back to his. Farsi to protect their own, someone said, "Trap City is in danger forever now." While the trolling was ongoing, some people were dedicated to identifying the man who rained bullets on Bloodhound Lil Jeff. As expected, the members of Chirology, a subreddit for discussing Chicago drill culture, wasted no time identifying the killer. 2 days after the murder of Bloodhound Lil Jeff, discussions on Chirology alleged that the shooter was none other than Trap City Rob. This is largely because Trap City Rob, or Trap Rob, had been arrested several times at the apartment where the shots that took Lil Jeff out were fired. Dramatically, within a short time, A photoshopped picture of Trap Rob holding a football award began to circulate on the internet, with most people praising him as the Defensive Player of the Year. Simultaneously, Rob's photo was going viral with the caption, "Wanted." According to news reports at the time, a shooting on the city's south side left one man dead, and Chicago police were still looking for the suspect. The terrifying incident happened on Saturday in the 6600 block of S Roads at about 5:40 p.m. An unverified video showing a man being shot multiple times sparked a series of speculations. Even amidst unconfirmed reports, Trap City Rob began to gain popularity on the internet, with many comments addressing his alleged involvement in the murder. Rob is also a rapper whose music did not gain much attention, but as soon as he started going viral, his song What a Feeling, released in 2020, began to rack up streams. Obviously, being the alleged killer of Chiroc's most savage killers comes with internet fame. It gets crazier. On June 16th, Chirology featured a new post showing Trap City Rob's photograph, barely a week after Lil Jeff's murder. Within the hour, some people observed that in that picture, Rob was wearing a shirt that appeared to troll Jeff and how he died. However, tracing back to the roots of the matter, there was a time when Trap City Rob used to hang out with some members of the Bloodhounds, as throwback pictures show Rob posing with Bloodhound Vert and another man whose face I'm not familiar with. Interestingly, to set the narrative straight, Trap City Rob, or Unk Rob as he's called today, granted an interview in the Hood to share his side of the story. Reddit users refer to Trap City Rob as Unk Rob largely because of the age difference between Lil Jeff and Rob. Apparently, while Lil Jeff belongs to the Gen Z set of Chicago rappers, Rob is evidently older and more likely a millennial. Hence, he's referred to as Uncle Rob. Alongside his Day One homies Terror and OTF Black, was filmed standing by the porch while watching their left and right for any possible threats. Interestingly, Rob opened the interview by denying his internet-imposed status as the OG shooter who took out Lil Jeff.
Proud, man.
I don't even think you need no introduction at this point, my boy.
I do, man.
Okay, for sure.
Trap City. Rob considered it necessary to begin the interview by clearing up the rumor about his involvement in Bloodhound Jeff's murder because, at the time, the investigation was still underway. He then proceeded to talk about his dissatisfaction with the high violence rate in the state of Chicago. He explained that most Black people are underdeveloped and lack the emotional intelligence to understand that the violence popularized through drill music is a plot against Black people.
The Black man is very underdeveloped and undereducated in America.
Ooh, not me?
No, just listen, bro. When it comes to emotional intelligence, reasoning, and people getting shot over shoes, and that's not being emotionally intelligent.
Trap City. Rob's responses during this interview attracted several positive comments about the Hood. One user commented, "Rob is what you call a grown man." And another quickly added, "These dudes are mature. Jeff was just a little immature kid running up on some OGs." Jeff didn't think before. He reacted. That's what separates a grown man from a little boy. OGs don't move the way Jeff did. OGs have rules and guidelines. Despite the praises, Trap City Rob remained humble, trying to break the chain of violence in the Hood. When the interviewer reminded the trio about the viral meme on Reddit where Robert's face was photoshopped onto Malcolm X's iconic photo with the caption, "Protect the Trap," Rob was not impressed. The post suggested that Rob should run for president, assuring that he would triumph in politics. Trap City. Rob then acknowledged that he had seen the meme on Reddit, but made it clear that he was not out to chase clout on the internet.
Chase that shit. I don't even like it, so I don't need no internet crap.
This is largely because most of the violence and murders in Chicago happen when someone trolls or brags about the death of a rival gang member. Trap Rob is not about that life. He made it clear that Lil Jeff's death resulted from an ongoing beef. The interview Trap Rob did with Block to Block revealed some facts about the ongoing Hood beef between Trap City and Drill City, leading to Lil Jeff's death. Most importantly, Rob explained that he was not about that life. Even though he enjoys drill rap, He hates the violence that comes with it.
I never chased that drill rap.
Okay.
Conscious, bro. Like, I'm in my environment, but I understand the overall. You know what I'm saying?
Rob went on to say that black people keep killing each other over things that truly don't matter. It's the same perspective that Rob's fans on Reddit, who call themselves Unk Gang, preached during the internet war that started between Drill City and Trap City after Lil Jeff's death. However, while Rob and his fans despised the violence, Lil Jeff died for it. Bloodhound Q50's recent Instagram post shows that Lil Jeff had been on the streets long enough to catch bodies. Videos circulating online show that before 2024, Lil Jeff was moving around with a ski mask, armed to his teeth like a deadly assassin. Again, in an earlier interview covering Lil Jeff's lifestyle, the young gangster revealed that he had been on the streets since he turned 18.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18 type shit.
Okay.
I just turned like 18.
He also went on to reveal that he was no stranger to the streets, despite jumping off the porch.
But the shit I'm doing now is shit I've been seeing my whole life, you know what I'm saying? I told you I got an older brother. So this shit ain't nothing new for real, it's the same shit I've been.
Lil Jeff revealed that he had an older brother who taught him almost everything he needed to know about the streets. And if you don't know, he was talking about J Boogie. Now, what you should know is that J Boogie is about the same age as Trap City Rob. What's most important to note is that, back in the day, these dudes were actually cool with each other. In the interview with Block to Block on YouTube, Trap City Rob confirmed that the two hoods used to be cool, until the Bloodhounds stole their homie's chain. That's when everything went south.
Motherfuckers used to hang with them, they know what they did.
So, okay.
They know what they did.
So, okay, the Bloodhounds, y'all was cool.
Everybody
that got a
That was my homie.
He stole the chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my own chain.
But again, if you look closely, you will see an even deeper reason for the beef than what Rob mentioned. At least for Bloodhound Jeff, their feud started with the death of his cousin, Z Money. Let me give you a little background. The start of 2012 ushered in a new personality and sound in the Chicago drill scene, Bloodhound Lil Jeff. Although Lil Jeff credited the start of his rap career to his friend Vert. It was his gruesome lyrics and violent videos that gained him popularity and credibility in the culture. Lil Jeff was eager to rap about the violence in him and make it known to the streets that he was a gangster. He once rapped about his mom saying she told him every day that she prayed he would make it home, and he told her that it was okay because he was the one doing all the killing. However, when he realized how cold his rap lyrics were, he quickly flipped and announced that it was all a joke, just music. It was all fake. But that's not even the point. One thing to note is that this particular track was a tribute to his brother J Boogie, who was locked up behind bars. Now, with J Boogie in jail, Lil Jeff's cousin, Z Money, stepped in and started playing the role of an older brother to Lil Jeff. He helped do his dirty work for him, gave him the spotlight, and played the role of a background director. However, Lil Jeff and the entire Bloodhound gang would face one of the most devastating losses that would sever the street alliances between Trap and Drill cities. In 2023, a decade-long alliance between Trap City and Drill City came to an abrupt end following the death of Z Money, Lil Jeff's backbone on the streets. On the hot afternoon of March 16, 2023, Lil Jeff's cousin and best friend, Z Money, met his death in a tragic and very mysterious manner. According to news reports, Z Money was in his car on the 1300 block of East 79th Street, near the 79th intersection in Kimber. He was in the Avalon Park neighborhood, in the parking lot of a dry cleaner store, when the tragedy unfolded. It was reported that a car approached Z Money in the neighborhood and began firing shots in his direction. Z Money was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center. Unfortunately, that was where he took his last breath. Money's sudden and heartbreaking death was a painful loss to the Bloodhounds, but most especially to Lil Jeff, who had enjoyed Z Money's protection since his brother was incarcerated. After the murder, Lil Jeff and his right-hand man, Q50, went on to tattoo Z Money's name on their skin as a tribute to their fallen hero. In 2023, a nonprofit newsroom covering gun violence in America, known as The Trace, reported on Z Money's case, capturing his mother's heartbreaking voice concerning her son's death. She recounted that she got a call from Z Money's girlfriend informing her that Z Money was dead. She said she called the Chicago Medical Center to confirm the news, but had to go there and see for herself. Upon arriving, she said the doctor told her that he was dead on arrival. Then she proceeded to ask how many times her son was shot. The doctor answered, "We stopped counting at 29. Sadly, that day, Z Money became one of the 4,000 people fatally shot in Chicago over the last 10 years, whose murderers still walk the streets without any arrests, according to Chicago Police Department data. With many homicides left unsolved, thousands of families and friends are left looking over their shoulders in their neighborhoods. However, just when the situation was cooling off, rumors about Z Money's killer's identity began circulating on Reddit. It was rumored that Z Money was backdoored by his old friends at Trap City. With this devastating revelation came the birth of a new monster on the streets, known as Bloodhound Lil Jeff. It was a swift transition that almost everyone noticed. While the streets were still shaken by the demise of Z Money, a young boy was transformed from Jeffrey Harris into Lil Jeff, also known as the Pistol Professor. Shortly after, Bloodhound Lil Jeff unleashed his rage on two boys, BK Monty and Lil Rob, who allegedly robbed him of his jewelry and went on to troll the entire Bloodhounds, saying they should stop wearing fake chains. Interview 8.
I heard like 4 shots that was all super anxious and sad, and I was afraid that it hit me too by accident.
It's pathetic to know that the robbery was not worth the risk because, shortly after, the two boys would pay with their lives. The tragic incident unfolded at Innovations High School, located in downtown Chicago in an area known as Luke, at about 12:30 noon. Lil Rob and BKN Monty were heading out of school for a lunch break towards Washington Street and Wabash Avenue. As busy as that location was, as soon as Monty and Lil Rob arrived, 2 cars pulled over, and some armed men jumped out and began shooting, killing BKN Monty and Lil Rob. According to CPD Deputy Chief John, a group of individuals exited the vehicles and fired multiple times, striking 2 teenage students of Innovations High School. He also identified the victims as 16-year-old Robert Boston and 17-year-old Montario Williams. According to police reports, a woman walking on the sidewalk when the shots rang out said that her coat was grazed by a bullet. Unfortunately, just like most of the murders that happened on the streets of Chicago, this one also went unsolved without any trace of suspects. If you have been following this story, then by now you already know who our prime suspect is. But let's not jump into police business. What you should know, however, is that somewhere on the street, death was lurking, waiting for the next time Lil Jeff would go on a drill again. Lil Jeff's tragic death. Interestingly, the events of Lil Jeff's death are perhaps the most dramatic turn of events in the Chicago drill scene. Lil Jeff literally died doing what he knew best, killing for the fun of it. I remember one of Lil Jeff's lyrics where he said, "Every time I see an op, I drop my mask and swing the door." Well, as it turned out, Lil Jeff never joked about what he rapped. The most devastating event to hit the Bloodhounds happened in broad daylight on June 8, 2024. On that day, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Q50, and one other guy were caught standing on business in surveillance footage that was later released. Lil Jeff and his gang were seen literally swinging the door and jumping out of the car to smoke, a rival gang member in the heart of Trap City. In the footage, which I can't show you in full due to its gruesome nature, the people in the black SUV were Lil Jeff's homies. They jumped out of the car and started firing shots at a young man on South Road Avenue. If you look closely, you will see that while the car was parked, the squad spotted the target, and Lil Jeff quickly swung the door open and started letting off shots. The target, wearing bright yellow shorts, quickly ducked behind a car and eventually ran onto the porch of a building while still being shot at by Lil Jeff. Hold up. I knew Chicago was a crazy place as soon as I saw Lil Jeff wearing a black Nike hoodie and gray Nike joggers, chasing his target straight into their home. That's where he met his end. Word on the street is that after Lil Jeff spotted this guy, he went all in, chasing and shooting at him. For some reason, his homies didn't follow him. They stood by their car, letting off shots at the gray car. As soon as Lil Jeff hit the target, he chased him right onto the porch, like it was a movie scene. However, a bleak tragedy was about to unfold. The rapper and killer, who had fantasized numerous times in his music about chasing an op into their home, finally lived out his fantasy. Only, this was a one-time experience for Lil Jeff. Someone from inside the house fired back, sending Lil Jeff flying head over heels with bullets to the ground. And there, lying lifeless, was the man called Bloodhound Lil Jeff.